Welcome to another episode in This Week in Metropolis. I'm Matt. This is James. Tonight we have got a very exciting brand new guest again. We have got Martin from Sonikz Comics. He's a big comic book collector and he's going to be telling us all about his interests and just all about him. But before that, if you're new to the show and you don't know where to find us, James, where'd you find us?
Well, hopefully you already know that because you're watching us live now. Martin's brought all his followers, so they're all waiting for Martin to come on and burst onto the screen.
Banging on the door.
Exactly. Come on, let me in. He's sitting backstage in the green room right now. So, we'll be on Facebook, Twitch, and on YouTube tonight. And then you'll be able to listen to the show tomorrow and forever afterwards.
Again and again and again.
Again and again and again. In all the usual places via Anchor, so Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Apple, Stitcher, Deezer. The list goes on. Is there anywhere that we aren't? If there isn't, let us know. And we'll just join it. So we're looking forward to this episode. But before we get started, just time to watch this.
Hello and welcome to This Week in Metropolis.
Good evening and welcome to This Week in Metropolis, and good evening to Martin from Sonikz Comics. Martin, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Cheers, lads. Hey, everybody.
It's great to have you finally on. We've been trying to arrange it. There's been a couple of weeks where we couldn't make it, and we've got there in the end. We've finally got you on. We've met you through Shane on Dawn of Comics. We've been on the quiz together. Top guy. Been a pleasure meeting you on there, but we thought it's about time we got you on our show. So for the listeners and the viewers that aren't familiar with Sonikz Comics, tell us a little bit about your profile, your Instagram channel, your YouTube, and so forth.
Yeah, so you can find me at Sonikz Comics on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Mainly Instagram. I basically post my collection. I started my Instagram back during the height of the pandemic. So I just used it as a way of getting involved with the community as I was getting that love for comics at the time. And as time went on, I just posted more and more and my collection grew more and more and it went from there basically. And I'm here now.
What it got you? I mean, what was the thing that made you think, right, comics now? What was the seed that was planted for that?
See, I used to play an MMO called DC Universe Online. So I was very heavy into the DC Universe side of things. So I knew a lot about it then. And then I was sort of, during lockdown, I was like, I actually want to read the comics now. I want to get deeper into it. So I ended up expanding on the current trade paperbacks I had. I started getting hardcovers. Then that went into omnibuses, then that went into more collected, and then that just expanded from there to other publishers and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of, yeah.
Omnibuses was something I wrote down because a lot of the ones that you've posted, I was going right back to the kind of original posts on your Instagram page, and some of them omnibuses look awesome. Is there a particular wow? Sorry, I've just been distracted. We've got new viewer, new person watching. It's not a feature of the show, actually, new adult dating chat-free. Maybe it's something we could work on.
Maybe it's something the fans want.
This is what the fans want. Yeah.
It's no one I know.
Yeah, actually, this is the first time that we've ever had comments about adult dating, and it's the first time you're on the show. So I think, is this your side hustle? No, yeah. Trying to promote. Yeah.
Going back to it, Martin, the omnibuses, is that an area that you wanted to focus on with your collection?
No, actually, sort of come out of nowhere. My first omnibus I actually bought, well, it's not really an omnibus, we can class it that way. I wanted to get the Sin City collection. Because I love the films. I wanted to sit back and read Sin City. And when I started looking online, a lot of the books were out of print. You couldn't get any of these books. So the only way I could get it was, I think you might better see it behind me there,
Yeah.
is the Big Damn Sin City.
Yeah.
So I ended up picking that up just to have it. Just thought, that's all right. And I had it on my shelf, and I was like, oh, I want to get more books like that. So I started looking around at other DC related stuff, and I ended up getting Batman ones. I saw the Aquaman one going relatively cheap, which you might have saw as one of my first posts.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And then
one of the first ones as well, I think, was the was it DC? It might have even been Marvel and Power Rangers, like a merger one where they were on the same cover. I remember seeing.
Oh yeah,
is it Justice League maybe and Power Rangers?
Yeah, it's one of the few trade paperbacks I've got. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Power Rangers. You know, it's
No,
classics.
exactly.
So
They were classics. I mean, even my 6-year-old has now started watching on Netflix. There's some sort of Power Ranger show that he's watching. My wife's not 100% happy about it because he now wants to be a Power Ranger. But didn't we all when we were growing up?
Yeah,
I think that is a bit of a rite of passage for kids, because my two certainly got to a certain age, watch Power Rangers, and it's like this switch in their head. Yeah. I'm going to fight at every possible situation. Like not other children, but just sort of, I'm going to kick and I'm going to punch as soon as I've seen it. But hey.
Amazing. Before we dig deeper into your collection, Martin, let's just say hello to people who have already joined us. We can see that Pete from Triple G is here. And also, last week's guest has joined us. It's James T. Keegan. Who
is making a very special contribution to this show.
Much like Ryan did in the early beginnings of Question Mark. We've got a special feature that will come. I won't click on girls18.xyz again, but James said, you finally made it, lads. Thanks, James. Highland G is in the house. Hey, guys.
Welcome.
Good to see you, Highland G. And if you are watching us live, get involved in the comments. If you've got any questions for us or for Martin, more importantly, get them in and we will fire them over to you. So going back to your collection, how many are you up to now? Do you keep stock of how many you've got?
No.
A lot?
No, I got to a point in my collection where I just stopped counting. When I sort of started filling up one sort of shelves like these. Mm-hmm. When I went and bought another one, I just lost count.
Have you read them all?
No.
That's interesting, because what we're finding a lot recently, we're talking to a few. We've obviously had Jason Parker Comics has been on, even going back to Triple G when he came on, and many others who are comic book fans. It's amazing how the collections seem to be vast, but actually what's been read isn't as much. It's usually, I remember Jason saying to us that it's particularly the characters that he likes are the ones that he tends to read more of. Would you say that's the same with you?
It is, yeah. I tend to pick certain characters, but then I do get influenced by TV shows as well. So sometimes if I see something that I like, I'll then split off and try and get something else. Mm-hmm. But majority of the time, it starts off with one character. You are right, it starts with one character, then it goes to other ones, and then it just gets out of control, unfortunately.
Is it that sort of completionist thing that you think, well, I've got that one, so I need that one, and I've got to complete that story arc or whatever it may be?
Yeah, certain characters I feel like that. I'm trying to limit what I get Marvel-wise, so I tend to pick up anything that's Spider-Man, anything that's Daredevil, and Captain America as well. Any omnibus that comes out for them, I've pretty much pre-ordered the second it goes live because I don't want to miss it. But that's why the collection is so big. You say about why is everything still sealed? For me, I fell into the FOMO problem that a lot of collectors obviously suffer with. So you find a lot of these books go out of print, and if you miss out on it, you sometimes don't get the opportunity to get it again. So sometimes I buy them, I don't open them, and then I cheat, but sometimes I'll read digitally. And if I like it, I like it, I'll keep it and then crack it open to read it the next time. But if not, I'll then sell it on. So I don't miss out on the book, but I still get to read it. And then if I like it, keep it. If not, sell it.
Sorry, go on, Matt.
I'm just about sort of buying them and that FOMO thing. Is it that thing of that's the reward? It's like that buzz of thinking, wow, I've got it. Thank God for that. But then is there sort of any gratification of when it arrives and then thinking, cool, I own it? Or is it on to the next, oh, I've got to get that one now? And that's the stimulation, I guess, for want of a better word of it.
All the above.
Yeah.
All the above. Yeah. As soon as something is, you can't get it, you want it. The second you get it, you get that thrill of I've got it. I find it. You slot it on the shelf next to everything else in the run. It's a nice feeling. But then as soon as it hits that shelf, you onto the next book because there's so many releases.
Yeah.
It's hard to sort of focus on one title and enjoy that one title because there's 5 or 6 there coming out that month to replace it. It's an expensive hobby.
Relentless, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds it. And I mean, I've seen some of the comments here. I mean, it's like Pete says, time. You know, I think time is such a big thing, and I find very much similar with like TV shows, and especially having kids as well. When you've got kids, you know, your evenings don't really start. I mean, my evening tonight didn't start until about 8:30, and then I was online. You know, so I think depending on what your personal circumstances are, you know, trying to fit in movies, TV shows, games, comic books, whatever your hobby is, I think it's all dependent on how much time you have to play with. And like, you know, Pete says there, he's got 3 shelves to read books, let alone, you know, all the rest. I think James also says here, comics were made to go on a bookshelf and never to be touched again.
But I do a very similar thing with normal books. Like, just I will see something that I find is interesting and I'll buy it. And quite often it's just straight on the bookshelf. There's the odd one that I do read, but quite often I'll just, you know, I've got a couple next to me here. I'll read a few chapters and then sort of I've got other things to do, and it's a shame, but I still like owning them just in case.
I must admit, not being a comic book collector, I have found it really interesting, kind of getting involved with, you know, like you have, Martin, with the Nerd Herd stuff, and I've been digitally getting comics to keep the pace with what they're reading on each show, and even if I haven't been able to watch the show live to get involved in my thoughts on it, I've still been reading the comics. Even that you know, we just went through October and had the horror month, which was incredible because horror's not really my thing at all, but some of them books were really good. I loved the first one we done that month. It was amazing. Because it was a short one as well, and sometimes I felt there was, and that's what I love again about comics to movies to TV to music. It's that everyone's opinion can be different. Like some of them I found really long and could have been reduced, and some I wanted them to be longer. And it's the same with how people feel about movies and TV shows and stuff. And I think that's been kind of quite fun for me, not being a comic book fan, and it's made me now want to explore some of the characters. And again, it's going back to what you said originally, is that, well, what character do I really like? Well, I love some of the Batman stuff, I love some of, you know, Spider-Man stuff and things like that, and hearing some of the different kind of stories and, you know, the zombie versions of some of the twists on them which we've seen in TV shows as well. That for me is what's making me think there's so much that's unexplored, and we talk about the characters in Marvel and DC that me and Matt have been introduced to from coming on the quiz. You know, there's an absolute plethora. What a word for me to pull out there, by the way.
And correctly.
Thank you. There's a plethora. That's what I'm going to say. Of characters that I know nothing about.
100% right. I found that myself.
Who has been some of the favourite characters that you have discovered from it, that from collecting? You go, oh, this one, and it's almost made you more interested in their backstory.
Oh, see, there's a lot of characters that I knew about from, like, you know, like many of us. I grew up watching, you know, the Batman animated series, Superman animated series, all those things, the movies. But some of the characters that I've discovered from watching even things like the CW, you know, like the Green Arrow. I love that character. I know it's a bit of a controversial series.
I'm with you there, Martin.
But
Matt used to mock me for being the only person in the world that watched it. So,
and we've slowly found some more, haven't we? There are some more out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually love the CW series. Like, you know, with that whole kind of there was like a bubble of them, weren't there? Because you had the Flash, you had was it Legends of Tomorrow?
yeah.
Yeah. And all of them little shows that were on around that time, I thought they were great. I just felt it started to get to a point where it lost control a little bit of itself.
No, you're right. For me, I felt they start well, they drag you in well, and I think the first few seasons, you get them under your belt, then it sort of starts declining.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm a big Flash fan, I love the Flash. You know, the Flash is starting to go right downhill, and it has been since maybe season 5, 6.
Yeah.
That's being generous.
It's very hard for a series to maintain that sort of length, though, isn't it? I think there are very few that have got that far and still kept it fresh, because what do you do after a while, I guess?
Well, this is the thing. They tried to start doing crossover, didn't they? That's the thing. And I always feel when you start doing that, I know Marvel have done it very well, but I think then the problem is Marvel have done that and then pulled them apart again, which is great. Whereas I think with them, it kind of stayed together for too long and probably didn't carry itself as well afterwards. And then you were having to watch, I can't remember it off the top of my head. It seems like a lifetime ago. But
I do hate it with TV shows when they do tie-ins with other ones, because that does annoy me a bit, because it's not like a film where you think, oh, that character's in it, and then you watch an hour and a half or whatever. You then have to invest, you know, seasons in some instances of that other show to then get up to speed, and I don't think it translates as well in TV. But,
see, personally, I don't mind them. I like the crossovers, because if you are watching, you know, Flash and Arrow, to see them cross over in the same show as a comic book fan, it's sort of it's cool to see. But I just think, I do understand, from someone that's not from a comic book background, and you're seeing all this going on, and there's certain characters they bring into it. If you don't know who they are, it completely throws you. It's just a cluster of information and characters that you just don't know what's happening.
I think if you compare it to a movie, there's that big build, and then we got Avengers, and then we got Endgame, and all them, and you know, it's then in a 2.5 hour, however many hours installment, boom, you've seen them all, and it comes to this big crescendo at the end. God, 2 words today, come on, crescendo. Oh, I must be ill.
You need to write these down so you can tell Hayley after the show.
No, I'm going to tell Mark. Where's Mark?
Timestamps.
We'll just clip the video. Yeah.
Crescendo. So that's what's really cool, and I completely agree with you, Mark. Like, I remember in Arrow and Flash with them starting to come together, and you were like, because you were waiting for that episode, weren't you? And James is in the house, and then all of a sudden, I think that's the problem, because then you'll have like that half an hour to an hour of an episode, and then it ends, and then the next week it's not a big build to it, because you know they're together. I think and then you probably have another 3 or 4 episodes, or however many it was, and that's probably it's not excitable anymore. Whereas I think where the movie does it's you know, you think that end fight scene, the end game was like incredible.
Yeah, breathtaking.
And it was building to it, and then but it's not like the next film was the whole thing again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's sort of with the TV shows, you do have that villain of the week type scenario. And you've got the overarching story that goes through it. I think with the majority of these ones that irritate me is then they jump too far into like modern day stories to try and stay relevant, you know, and then you're pulling from stories that are literally not even 5 years old. Don't do that. Start focusing on some of the origins of the character, and you've got all these years to play with, and you're playing with stuff that's a few years old. It just
well, that links to what Pete said in the comments. They had 50 plus years of Flash material they could have used. Instead, you know, they picked whatever they did, and you know, you'd think 50 years worth of material. Looking at it in that perspective, 5 seasons, you'd think that'd be quite easy, wouldn't it? For, you know, going from there. No.
And the Quizzler's back. The Crisis crossover was annoying as Batwoman wasn't on TV over here. So, of course, with the whole Batwoman thing, Well, there you go. So if you were to pick, leading into both your introduction into comic book collecting, but also, from, like you said, you grew up watching all the same shows me and Matt did. What was your favourite character growing up, and has it changed now, I guess?
Yeah, it's changed without a doubt. I grew up Superman, Batman, Christopher Reeves, Michael Keaton. I grew up with them. I remember, even my mum tells me stories of me running around with like a kitchen towel around my neck, flying.
With your hood, just your hood of your coat over your head. Yeah.
So I've always been around it. But I think when I got into the 90s, I sort of started gravitating towards the Flash, because I remember the Wesley John Shipp sci-fi channel series, which I really enjoyed back then.
Yeah.
But now I'm not as much a Batman fan now. I'm wearing a Batman top. I do like Batman, but I'm more Flash, Green Arrow for DC, and more sort of Daredevil for Marvel.
Love Daredevil.
Great characters.
With Batman, have you got a favourite one? You mentioned Michael Keaton now. I want to say, it's a stab in the dark, that's Matt's favourite, Michael Keaton.
I don't know, really. He's the one that got me into Batman. Definitely. I'm not sure.
Have you got a favourite, Martin?
See, I've got a favourite, but it's purely down to one scene, and that's Ben Affleck's Batman.
Interesting.
The fight scene at the end of Batman versus Superman in the warehouse.
Yeah.
That's Batman. That's just brutal fighting. Take the whole gun out of it, but
yeah.
I
love how, and again, I prior to us kind of being welcomed into the comic book community, I'm amazed at how many people love Ben Affleck as Batman. And there's, I would see in the comments here, James T. Keegan, Batfleck all day, every day. Phil from Phil's Nerdiverse, Batfleck is the best. I've heard so many people say that, and it's interesting because I don't think I remember from Batman vs Superman, I was like, not having this. The voice was weird, the kind of costume, I weren't feeling it. I just didn't feel like it was. And the problem is because Christian Bale for me was like, he made Batman for me the best superhero going at the time for me. It's funny now when I look back on some of the Christian Bale stuff, how I'm a bit like, oh, actually, I'm not as sure now, however many years later. And actually watching some of I think we were talking last week about the Snyder cut of the Justice League. Like, some of the scenes in that, he is incredible as Batman. Absolutely incredible, and they're only from snippets. I've not watched the whole Snyder cut because, again, going back to the beginning, time is quite a key thing. Unless I watch it in installments, but
10-minute segments.
Yeah. I actually think he did impress me a lot. The problem is now I do really like Robert Pattinson. I thought he was brilliant in The Batman.
I haven't watched it yet.
Wow.
I haven't watched it yet.
Have you chose not to, or you?
No. Again, what you said then, it's time. It's just finding that time to sit and watch it. I literally bought the Blu-ray of it in the past week, just so that I can actually finally watch it.
Yeah.
But
it was
no,
good.
I've not watched it.
It was good. I found it better. Not necessarily better. I think I took more out of it second time round.
Okay.
First time watching it in cinema, it was. We all came out thinking, that was good. I think second time around, weirdly, using James's technique, I watched it in two halves. For whatever reason it was, and it was quite nice watching it like that, because it is almost a film of two halves. You get sort of up to a point, and then sort of it follows a sort of a slightly different sort of story for a part of it as well. And it was a very, very good film. But no,
I will get round to it. I think I've wanted to watch it because I know, as I say, as someone who likes comics, you sort of tie these characters and how they've done these films after what stories. So this is why I think everyone loves Batfleck, because it's based off of The Dark Knight Returns, which is a beloved story of Batman. So That's why everyone, I think, like myself, I enjoy Batman in those films.
Mhm.
But Batson is more year one, Batman year one,
Yeah.
sort of the long Halloween type thing, apparently, from what I've heard.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that.
It is, because when we went to sit in cinema and they was giving out this little special comic, and it was an excerpt from the Long Halloween, and it's all a scene in it is almost sort of cell by cell recreation, or like scene by scene recreation of a part from that. So yeah, it definitely is. Changing subject slightly, Sonikz Comics. How does Sonic fit into all of this?
Okay, I'm a big gamer. My first game I ever owned when I was 4 was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Amazing.
My dad bought me a Sega Mega Drive, and I've been a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog ever since. When I started gaming on like PlayStation, I was doing online accounts, especially say when I played DC Universe Online. My character was a speedster, so of course you can create your own character. So I had a speedster influenced by the Flash, and I ended up at the time calling it Blue Sonic. That was a superhero name.
Yeah.
And then my channel sort of started from there, and then I just sort of dropped the color and just named it Sonikz Comics, because it sort of fitted something with my gaming and the comics. It sort of ticked both boxes for me. So yeah, just a natural evolution from what I've done. That's where it comes from. The love of the games.
Have you got any Sonic the Hedgehog comics? Because there's quite a few of those, to my understanding.
I have
as well.
got up here somewhere. There's Sonic, my little pot for moving my head out of the way.
Yeah, I can see him.
He's there, and there's 2 deluxe editions there of the Sonic series, which I will be getting all of them.
Are you a fan of the Sonic movies that have recently? We've got the second one that was the last one that came out, wasn't it? My son, he's gone. I don't know what's happened, because I think it's Sonic Boom on Netflix that he loves watching. There's an animated series. He absolutely loves all the characters. He's telling me characters. I only thought there was Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, let alone all these others. Shadow is one of his favourites.
Yeah.
All these other ones. I mean, the TV show's hilarious, but the actual movies, I've only seen the first one with him, and he loves it. I thought it was really good.
I'm sorry, I was looking at there. Yeah. I've loved the Sonic movies. I've watched the first one. I haven't watched the second one yet, because again, I haven't got the Blu-ray, and I haven't watched it online or anything like that. I've seen snippets of it. So I've seen certain characters like Knuckles, and that looks fantastic. But yeah, I love the movies. I've always watched TV shows. The best TV show is Sonic X. Sonic X is on Netflix. Right. I actually love that. And they've got a new one coming out, Sonic Prime, which I'll no doubt be watching that too.
Yeah, that looks really good. Yeah.
That's
this month, I think, as well, isn't it? I think it's out this month. Yeah. So the boy will be watching that, no doubt. And are you still gaming now? Do you still game as much as you used to?
Every day.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a late night gamer. So usually from sort of 11 o'clock onwards, 11 till 1, I'm usually gaming. So
what are you playing?
See, where I played an MMO for too many years, I will say too many years, because I bounced from one MMO to the next. So I've sort of played World of Warcraft, Star Wars The Old Republic. I've missed out on all these solo titles. So I'm actually going back, and I'm playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag at the moment.
Oh, amazing. I mean, that's what that is something I know, Matt, you love doing that, don't you? Going back and playing games that you've probably passed you by at times.
Yeah, exactly. I find it's just quite an interesting thing to do, isn't it? To see what the hype was about and sort of, catch back up with them. What are you, Xbox or PlayStation as well? What's the preference?
I've dabbled in everything. I do own an Xbox. I haven't got the newest Xbox. I've got an Xbox One, but I'm a PlayStation guy through and through.
There you go.
The revolution continues, man.
Yeah, PlayStation through and through. I've been PlayStation since PS1, and I've had every iteration.
Yeah,
big word for me.
It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, how gaming can lead you down a certain path, and then you stick to them. I had done the same. I had a 360 at one point. I actually swapped. I had a PSP, which I swapped with Mark from Question Mark, who was getting a new Xbox, and said, I'll swap you it. So I had his Xbox 360 just to play Gears of War, and that was essentially it. And I had it for about a year, and then it was gathering dust, and I was back on the PlayStation again. So
I just don't think there's enough on Xbox to sort of keep you, personally.
well, it's interesting. That was a topic that we had last week with James T. Keegan, and we said, what is it? And it was exclusives for him. I think there's still a lot of pros about Xbox, isn't there? With, like you said, Matt, with Game Pass. If you're looking for that kind of library of games to just being able to go and pick, I think that's quite a great thing to have. And I know PlayStation are kind of getting it with their new levels of PlayStation Plus.
But yeah, not a fan.
I mean, being a mainly FIFA player, it doesn't really affect me. But however, I did download the other day for my son. There was, on this month's games release, there was the Lego Harry Potter collection. So he's been playing Lego DC Villains. He absolutely loves that game.
Fantastic games.
Yeah,
I've played all the Harry Potter ones. That was the first game my oldest played when he was about 4. And we started him off on that. Love them.
The only problem I have got is, because I have been teaching him FIFA quite a bit, he's now FIFA obsessed. So even this morning, like, he unfortunately was off ill this morning. He said,
to play FIFA.
Can I play Harry Potter? And he put Harry Potter on, and it literally, the intro screen where he went, I'm just going to play FIFA, and he wanted to play FIFA. So and then apparently he was trying to teach his 2-year-old sister how to play, not his 2-year-old, his 2-year-old sister how to play FIFA. And I did think to myself, if I just get my wife to play it, we could form our own esports team. But one day.
Well, just set him up streaming on Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a lot of free time. Just put a camera on him.
Indeed.
Raking that money.
There you go. Coming soon. This week in Metropolis. Esports team.
That's what we're heading towards, that, Martin. That's what we're heading towards.
Built on child labour.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Why is he off school today? Still not well.
Really unwell.
We're just going to take a little break from the show for a second, because something new we're trying. So far, we've only got one to show you, but don't worry about that. Join us after this ad break.
Hi everybody, Peter here from Triple J Comics, and this is what I do. So, if you like comic book content, action figure content, vintage toys, 1/6 scale, live shows, movie reviews, unboxings, all that kind of stuff, this is the channel for you. Please do check us out on Instagram and also on YouTube on Triple J Comics. Thanks very much. Catch us next time.
There's Peter from Triple G there. Make sure you go and check out his channel. And thanks to Peter for making that little advert for us. Much appreciated. Well, from one video to another, it's time to find out this week's question mark.
Question mark. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having me back on. A quick question today. How do you think Sony can justify their VR system being more expensive than an actual PlayStation 5?
Question mark. Well,
how much is it?
Well, I can tell you, Matt, and I don't know if you already know this, Martin, but in the States it's $550, which is £535 English pounds. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
the answer for me is what we was talking about last week, in that the companies don't make any money on the consoles and they sell them for a loss. So when you're thinking about that, you're probably paying actual value for that VR headset. Whatever the technology's in it, whatever it does or whatever, you're probably paying close, and they're probably making a bit of profit on it, but you're probably paying close to the actual value of that particular thing is my opinion. And we're just used to, it's a bit like phones. We're used to phones being cheaper and that sort of thing because we're all subsidized. Same with the consoles. And
that's an interesting point. What if they sold it like a phone contract? Do you think it would be more tempting to buy then? Because you think like our phones, I don't know what you guys have both got now, but I've got a Samsung Galaxy S20, I want to say, or 21. That's like, let's say, £900 worth of kit. That, do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't go into a shop and just spend £900 on a phone, realistically.
No, never.
But because it's 35 quid a month or whatever it is, you just go, oh, it's only 35 quid a month. Like, realistically, it's a bit bonkers, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah, exactly. And with these VR headsets, it's like, I don't know, how much do you want to... Would you want to spend that much money on something? I don't know how many games there are, but I'm sure it's very limited compared to the normal library of games as such. You've got to really want VR for that, haven't you?
I got no interest in VR whatsoever. So to answer Mark's question, they can't justify it at all. I think I might be on my own, but I think VR is a gimmick. I think everything that they play on it is a gimmick. There's no real immersion. I don't feel there is. I had a go of an Oculus Rift that my friend had, and I felt like I was trying to move my feet in it a little bit, but everything's just little mini games. I would rather if the VR headset was something I could sit on my sofa, still have a controller in my hand, and then I'm visually seeing, what I'm seeing, like a first-person game. So if I'm playing, let's say Call of Duty, for example, let's just use that as an example. You can see your gun there, you hold your controller, the vibration, everything.
Terrifying.
You get more immersed.
If I'm honest. That's the thing. I've never done VR, but I just think there's certain things. I was reading, what was the game I was reading recently? And there's a game in VR, and I think you're tortured in it, and like one bit I think you're like strapped down and you're injected in your eye or something like that. And I was just thinking, that's not an experience I want to do firsthand. I'm quite all right with that.
Keep that thought in mind in a minute, because I've got another story linked to this, which I don't know if you used to have seen, but I just want to go to some of the comments here, because Pete's saying he's got a VR headset. Maybe I've actually, and probably the same as what Pete said, I've actually played on a game with a VR headset around a friend's house. It is ridiculous. Now, that's all I will say. It's not one, I don't know, it's just I don't know, Google one, maybe, I don't know what it is, but we was playing this shooting game, and there's people all around you shooting at you, and it was crazy. And I filmed when some of the friends who were there were on it, and they were ducking, screaming, and they don't know where they are. Like, it can take you away. And I think there's games where you're on like a little canoe and doing stuff. I mean, it's bloody clever when you think about what it is. Is it £500? The only thing I would say is it that much because they know what's coming? There could be a catalogue of games coming that are going to like blow our minds. Could it be linked to the whole meta thing with Facebook? They could be, because I'm sure you can connect your Facebook and all that up to PlayStation.
Well, Oculus are owned by
Oculus, that's it.
Meta, so it's to a part of that.
It's the Oculus that I used.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about the metaverse and sort of things like that, and they explained it in put their perspective in a very interesting way. A lot of these companies have reached a peak of how much money they can earn from you. Selling your games, whatever. In Facebook's case, it's they can only sell so many ads, and they've reached this sort of peak of people are getting a bit burnt out by Facebook and so on in terms of so less ads. So what they're trying to create is this virtual world in which they can then sell you more stuff. So they can sell you like an avatar, or they can sell you items, or they can have a shop online and they'll get a cut from it and that sort of thing. And it's an interesting way of looking at it. And it's one that is pretty obvious now, but it's probably PlayStation trying to do that, is that you can visit a PlayStation thing in that world or whatever and buy more items, or if you pay a little bit extra, you can maybe get some more things. It's all linked to that, I think, in the end, isn't it?
I think if it was if it was done like the movie Ready Player One, have you guys seen that? Yeah, if it was done like that, and that's what you got out of VR, I know this is going way too far into the future, but if that was what a VR experience was, you'd sell me every time, even if you had games that immersed you in that level. But I personally can't help but feel everything that gets released is like a tech demo.
Isn't that a bit what the metaverse is going to be like, though?
Well, supposedly. Yeah, no, that's the idea. But in most cases, I think it looks like it was made in, I don't know, 2002. It's the level of what you can do or what you can see in it. But I just think. Sorry, Matt. I was just getting my final word on it. I just think there are so many, like you were saying, Martin, about Ready Player One. If you think of a comparison of what already exists and seeing my boys play it, Fortnite, you play against loads of different people in all different game modes, and you can buy Ghostbusters skins, and you can buy Star Wars skins, and you can do all these different things. You can create your own worlds if you want to. Bar having it in VR, or like immersive in that sense, it's pretty much there. Like it's got its own currency. You can talk to people, you can meet people, you can have fun if you don't want to, actually be in like the game modes and that. Apart from, the next step for Epic is probably, they'll do it in VR, and then you're halfway there already as such. Whereas a lot of the other companies are trying to reinvent the wheel, and it probably doesn't need reinventing. Just build on what's already there as such with it.
Completely agree.
Well, the link story that I saw, might have only been today actually, was, and I don't know how much truth there is behind it, but a VR headset was designed where if you died in the game, it would actually kill you in real life. And I'm not joking, it's black. I'll have to find the picture. I'm sure I've shared it in our story.
Where have you found this?
And there's like 3 cylinders on the top of your head, and if you die, it injects you. I can't remember what it was, but it basically kills you.
Jesus.
And it was designed. I'm going to have to find it.
The PlayStation Squid Games edition, is it, or something?
Yeah, you have to pay extra for it as well, probably.
I hope I can find it and then I can show you the picture. But it's
ludicrous.
It is ludicrous. Here we go. I've got it. This VR headset can kill you if you die in a game, and it was inspired by an anime, which was in honor of Sword Art Online. And I can just show you the picture there. Can you see the 3 cylinders? There you go.
Amazing. Well,
no detail though. So
but it's like the Matrix, isn't it? If you die in the Matrix, you can die in real life. So it's like real life Matrix, isn't it?
Indeed. Well, there you go. So basically, Mark, you don't think they can justify putting it there, but I don't think they can either. If it was $250, maybe, I'd say probably half the price. What do you reckon, Matt?
I personally, I think you're paying close to what its value is, and they're making so few of them compared to they would like a controller, because they know not many people are buying it. Is probably near the toss up as well. So they can't really just. I don't know. A certain pattern is probably a very niche market in terms of who people would buy it, and they're probably willing to spend 500 quid on something like that, I suppose.
Pete's just told me to stop reading The Sun and getting on my news from there. Sorry, Pete.
I think the biggest thing I can say to Sony right now, if you're listening, Sony, forget your VR and get your stock stuff right on your PS5s. Get that stock right and then start selling your accessories.
That's the thing. What's the point of a VR headset if you can't even buy a console? Still, you know.
Is there a game? This is just to Martin. Sorry, Matt. Is there a game that's coming out that it could be later into next year that you're aware of that you're really looking forward to?
Oh, do you know what?
On the PlayStation?
Yeah, just throw me Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know why. You basically get to go to Hogwarts as a student and create your own character, create your own wizard.
Wow!
And then you go off and do, quests
wizardy
in
things.
the wizarding world. Yeah, it looks really cool.
Can you imagine like GTA if you were a wizard? That'd be awesome.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. It looks really cool.
There you go. Right, Mark, that's the answer to your question. Thanks again for sending that one in to us. Okay, let's go on to news from the past week, and I'll kick off with you, Martin. What stories, what news have you seen in the past week that's caught your eye that you thought was worth bringing up today?
I feel like I'm sticking on the gaming theme here, unfortunately.
Bring it on.
The high scores of God of War Ragnarok. That has just scored 10 out of 10 across the board from like 10 or 12 different reviewers.
Now, I've got God of War. I downloaded it, never played it. Should I be playing that, Martin?
Right. I'm a big God of War fan from the Greek mythology sort of side of things. But since it moved over to the Norse mythology, I've not played a lot of it. But I'm myself. I've played maybe an hour or two of the new one, but it's not drawn me in. I know people are probably going to moan at me now for saying that because it's a really big game, but it's one on my list now to try and get through so I can go to Ragnarok. But I love God of War. I love Kratos. The characters are brilliant. It's worth your time, I would say.
Have you ever played them, Matt? Are they even on? They're not. Are they exclusive?
You can get them on PC, I believe, as well. Rather than just PlayStation, but it just doesn't appeal to me. It's not my sort of thing. I may be proved wrong and I might play it and think, wow, this is brilliant, but it's that sort of, I don't know, whole mythology thing doesn't really appeal, but also in the fact it's probably about, I don't know, 6 years worth of gameplay and it just turns me off.
I don't think it's as bad. I don't think it's as bad as like Valhalla, say. I think that's like God knows how many years worth of gameplay, which I've only probably done about 5% and spent a lot of time. But the graphics again, like some of the visuals in that are just stunning. From the screenshots that I've seen of Ragnarok, it's incredible, absolutely incredible.
How are the high scores justified? Like, are there any takeout moments that they're saying it is great because of this?
From what I've seen, because I've not tried to go to when I see these reviews, if it's a game I've not played, I try not to go too much into it because I don't want anything spoiled, because unfortunately in this day and age you've only got to watch something for 10-15 minutes and they can spoil something for you. So a lot of stuff that I've seen, it's all based off the graphics, the story, the way the combat is. It's just masterful. It's amazing. I would find as well, I'd be a little bit nervous starting to play a game that got that higher rating, because you just for me it'd be like watching a film that everyone goes on about and said, oh, it's brilliant, and then you watch it and I feel gaming's a bit different. I think gaming, if they give you that, in respects of their reviews, if you get a game that has scored 10 out of 10 across the board, that's a 10 out of 10 game. The game that comes to my mind is The Legend of Zelda, The Ocarina of Time. Yeah. That was the last game that I remember getting a big 10 score that everyone loved. Yeah. And that game is a timeless classic. Yeah. I've played every iteration of that game just because it's so good.
Yeah.
That was as well. You must have had that one, Matt.
Yeah, I did. I think they had a GameCube. I think on GameCube there was like a double disc version of Zelda, and one was Ocarina of Time, and I can't remember what the other one was that was on it.
Majora's Mask.
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember now. It was a gold box, whatever one it was. But yeah.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Well, let's again, what it has done, Martin, as looking at the visuals of it and seeing some of the clips that I've seen, it's made me now want to play God of War. So I've got it. So it's probably about time. Matt, what's your news from the past 7 days?
My news is that Disney are doing another live action, which you may have not have heard, and it is going to be a remake of the 1997 film Hercules, which I've never seen. Hercules, so it's new to me. But
it's not new to me that you haven't seen a classic Disney film, though.
I was too old when that came out. That was the thing. But it's being made by the Russo brothers. Which you may not know, are responsible for a lot of the Marvel films, Captain America, Infinity War, Endgame, so on. But they've talked about it and said it's going to be more experimental, and it's a musical, but it's going to be for audiences that have been trained by TikTok. No. Yeah, I mean, and that's instantly your reaction was similar to mine. It's like, oh, is it going to be really dumbed down then? Like, because that's what that says to me. But yeah, apparently it's sort of to do with the fact that, you know, their expectations of what a musical is like maybe now be different, and they're trying to sort of harness that sort of element for it. But the interesting part is the director they've got for it is Guy Ritchie, who's going to do it. So it's a right mix of stuff that they're sort of throwing in there. But I didn't realise Guy Ritchie did Aladdin, the live action Aladdin.
Oh no,
I didn't know that.
News to me. I had no idea that was the case, and yeah, that was all
and
right.
That was awful.
Well, dear,
Yeah.
so that's the difference in opinion. I remember watching it thinking, yeah, it's all right, but.
The unfortunate thing with Aladdin is that it's not Robin Williams as the genie. That's the thing.
Well, it's a hard act to follow, isn't it?
It's so hard, and yeah, I've not been a massive fan of many of the live actions, to be honest. And I think we spoke before. I can't remember who we spoke to, Matt, but you know, whoever it was then said that it's a cash cow. You know, it's just another reason they can't do many original things anymore, because it's just trying to convert all them classics into
it's just getting the next generation in and keeping that copyright, and you know, so on and so on. That's the only reason they do them, which is a bit of a shame. But a musical Hercules directed by Guy Ritchie. Who knows how, you know, and it's TikTok related. Who knows?
What are your thoughts on that, Mark?
How that's going to turn out.
Hercules does have quite a few songs in it, so I don't mind the musical aspect. But
no.
You know, I don't like the whole TikTok idea. I think that's completely killed it for me. Again, it's the casting as well, because you're trying to cast some great characters. If you don't get the original cast back, and it's the same with all the rest of these Disney movies, if you don't get some of these key players, it's not going to work. You know, if you've not got Danny DeVito voicing Phil, or you've got the guys who did Pain and Panic.
Yeah,
and Hades, you need to get those people doing those voices. Otherwise, what make that movie so good, you're losing it. Because I think they fall a bit flat for me.
Yeah. I honestly, Matt, I would watch. You should watch with the boy.
Check it out. Yeah,
Hercules, because it's a great film. It's so funny. But going back, like the whole TikTok kind of social media kind of thing now, something's just reminded me, and I didn't watch the event because I don't really watch wrestling shows anymore. I'm a big wrestling fan from growing up. But are you a wrestling fan, Martin?
Yes and no. I watch it, so yeah, I'm a fan. Why not? I watch the highlights. I never sit and watch the whole show. I watch the maybe 45-minute highlights on YouTube, so I get the gist of what's going on.
Yeah. So my mate sent me a clip which was from this weekend. Matt, they done a big event in Saudi Arabia, which they do once or twice a year, bring in the money. And their main headline fight was Roman Reigns, who's the Universal whatever he is, undisputed champion, and Logan Paul. Exactly. But what I will say, this isn't his first fight. I think he's done 2 or 3 now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's he's actually good. He's annoying, but he's annoyingly good as well. Like, he's very athletic. He doesn't look out of place, let's say. But the clip that my friend sent me was Logan Paul on the very top rope with a phone, filming himself on TikTok, saying, I'm going to make you go viral, Roman. And he jumps whilst he's live. He jumps from there. It goes slow motion of him in the air because Roman Reigns is laid out on where the announcers are commentating on the table. So he's jumping from the top rope outside of the ring through Roman Reigns on the table. But all of that is captured in slow mo, and then next thing you know, it's just him laid out going like broken.
That is pretty incredible, and that is something we completely overlook. Is like how accessible technology like that is to us.
Yeah,
and that some idiot like Logan Paul with a phone can have the reach and the fame that he's got.
Yeah,
but film himself in the middle of a live event in slow motion to millions of people live. That's in a foreign land, it's amazing.
And pulling off that sort of stunt as well, which he's not a wrestler. I mean, we all know that. But anyway, it's just interesting, the whole dynamic. I thought that was quite relatable there. So
definitely
interesting.
On a wrestling note, my youngest moans at me or keeps bringing it up that I ruined wrestling for him because I told him it was all made up. So yeah. Dad, you ruined wrestling. I thought it was all real.
Well, you need to remind him that all the Marvel stuff isn't real either. But
I know. No, so that'll really ruin it.
That'll break him. I did have a couple of stories written down. One I can very briefly glaze over because we mentioned it earlier. Gears of War. They're going to actually be doing a live action movie and an animated series on Netflix.
Bet John Cena's going to be in it.
Oh, I won't watch it then. But my main story is Star Wars news, which I know you'll be a fan of. Are you a fan of Star Wars, Martin?
Yeah.
Love it?
Yeah.
Matt, I know you're a huge Star Wars fan, Matt. Have you watched Andor?
No.
Have you watched Andor, Martin?
Not yet.
What's going on here? I'm not even a Star Wars fan and I've watched it.
I think it's just that there have just been so many things churned out.
The theme of tonight should be time.
We have no time. The best Star Wars thing that I saw on Disney Plus in recent months/years is they put out to different Japanese animation studios. They made an episode each in their own style of animation. And they were the first one in that set. I can't remember what the series is called. It was like a samurai Jedi in this small sort of, old Japanese village. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. It captured like the spirit of Star Wars, but also just took this whole new direction on it. It's on Disney Plus. You should check it out. It's amazing. So like stuff like that really excites me because you're pulling on the world and stuff like that, but it's just taking it in a new direction. I think, so the new shows, apart from Boba Fett, loved the new ones. Just haven't had that draw to me.
I've started watching. So I don't even know if I've actually finished it. I watched episode 8 and 9 last night. I don't know if that's the end of the series or but what I can news-wise is that season 2 of Andor starts filming later this month. So I'm guessing it's finished. I haven't seen whether there's a new episode coming out this week.
I like the fact you don't know whether the season's finished or not.
Yeah. I'm now trying to remember what happened at the end. But anyway, the main Star Wars news, other than that, is they've released the cast list for the new series that's being produced. I think it's in production now. It's called the Acolyte?
See what I mean? Though it's exhausting. Like Andor's already still going. And they've already announced the second season, and now they're announcing something else. Come on! I've gone from having 3 films every 15 years to every week I've got a new series I've got to watch.
Do you know what, Matt? We gotta love it. We gotta love it because again, what's really weird in this episode, there's been a couple of films or shows that have been mentioned which link back to this news and two of the cast members. One is Carrie-Anne Moss from The Matrix.
Yeah.
And another one is someone from Squid Game, who I think someone mentioned Squid Game earlier. So there you go, full circle, complete.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's a shit ton of shows. It's just a conveyor belt. Once one finishes, I mean, it will end up like WALL-E. You know the film WALL-E, where we're all just sat there.
That will be good use in a VR headset because we won't even have to move. We'll just blink for the next episode to skip the intro, and that'll be it. Just sort of,
Well, Disney have invested heavily into Star Wars, haven't they? They've really took the ball and ran with it. And I think they've gone so far now. They've just got to keep going, because if they stop, it's just everyone's gonna wonder what's happened. But I'm with you though, Matt. A few of these series, I don't really quite understand why I want to watch it. But things like Kenobi, The Mandalorian, Boba Fett, they bring me back to the original trilogy, and some of them, I'm interested to watch them, see stories that we could only dream of seeing that fill gaps. But when you're talking about Andor, what happened on Andor then?
That's why with Andor it didn't quite sit right with me, because it's focusing on the character that was in Rogue One. What I loved about Rogue One is it just took that one line from A New Hope about the rebels sort of getting the plans and basically made a film out of it and did it amazingly. Do I want then a bit of an origin story of one of those characters? No, probably not, because I've seen what I need to see. But I'm sure there are lots of people who love it. And like an earlier guest this season, Steve Conjay said, we can't moan about this because, when we were growing up or whatever, we had none of it. And we probably wanted all of these shows. And if we don't watch them and we moan about it, someone like Disney will be on to the next thing. And they'll start churning out whatever else at that time makes money. Enjoy it while you can, because it's not guaranteed forever that you're gonna have stuff that caters to your interest as such. So we can't be too complacent, I guess.
You're 100% right. I feel like that with comic book movies, because as much as I scrutinize some of these movies and I sort of look back at the source material, we're in an age where we're seeing characters that you thought would never see the light of day. And I think the MCU, we've had over 10 years of movies on comic book characters, and it's still going. It's not going strong, but it's still going, and people are still watching it.
Well, and we're mapped out for the next 3 or 4 years. So I'll be 40 by the time I'm watching the whatever the finale of this one is. What is it? Secret Wars or whatever it's going to be.
Secret Invasion, another one, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Oh, God.
Just to touch upon a comment that Phil's put in there, the best show he's watched this year is Arcane on Netflix, better than anything Disney's done. If I'm right, Phil, is this the League of Legends thing? Because you coincidentally bringing that up, Steve Conjay, after the show that we had him on, was telling us all about that and saying it was one of the best things he'd ever watched, and he watched it with his son, absolutely loved it and recommended it. So I've yet to check it out, but but all good as far as we've heard. Yeah,
we will do. Well, to round off this week's episode, the viewers, the followers, they've been coming to me in their droves saying, we want more. We want more of the This Week in Metropolis anniversary spread, which made its debut last week, which definitely didn't come from a game aired on TalkSport on a weekly basis.
It's an original idea.
Original idea, which has now got its own very short introduction.
Anniversary spread.
That makes you feel good, doesn't it? Just hearing that.
That gives you that feeling that we're all looking for. Guys, so I'm just saying, time to spread them, lads. Thanks, Shane.
And thank you, James T. Keegan, for that. Can we hear it one more time? I just want to soak that in.
Hang on, here we go.
Anniversary spread.
Special.
It's got a menacing feeling to it, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah,
Anniversary spread.
it's that unfamiliar. You're frightened but aroused.
yes.
So it's like that.
Oh yeah,
that sort of-
I'm feeling all kind of nasty.
Let's do it.
Right, let's do it. So, if you don't know the rules, if you're new to this, why? But basically, I'm going to be throwing out. It could be a film, it could be a song, it could be a game, it could be a TV show, whatever it is. It's celebrating its anniversary today on the 8th of November, 2022. So there will be 5 that I'll be throwing out to you both. I will start with the guest first, as it is kind to do so, Matt.
The right
I hope you
thing to
don't
do.
mind. But each round, you will guess what year that particular thing came out. The distance between how close you are to it will tally up throughout. The winner is the closest one to the pin. It's the closest one to 0. If someone was able to get 0, I think I would drive all the way to your house right now. Don't care where you are. We've just had, had a comment come in. Sorry, just quickly. Veteran Game Nerd. Hi guys, it's Jack, previous guest. Just wanted to say hi. Fabulous episode. Can't wait to see this week's spread. Good luck, Sonikz Comics. Well, thanks, Jack.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jack.
that.
Nice one, Jack.
So let's kick off the anniversary spread. First up, Martin.
Yeah.
What year was the 11th studio album labelled Greatest Hits by Elton John released?
Come on. What year?
It's spread time, baby.
Okay.
I think I own this.
No, you can't say anything yet. Okay, come on, because his answer might influence yours. Yours in the next round might influence Martin's.
Can I hear the question again?
Yes. Elton John's 11th studio album, titled Greatest Hits. What year was it released? It was released on this day. But what year? We've got a few options coming in. I can tell them to you. 2002 says Shane. 99 says Phil. 92 Connie. 92 says Highland G. James T. Keegan. Not even going to try.
I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to give it a 94.
19.
Complete guess.
Okay. And Matt.
I'm going to agree with the Quizler. I think it's 2002 because I think I own this album. It's a triple album if it's the one I'm thinking of.
2002 you said, yeah?
Yeah.
So you said 94, Martin?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be well out.
Bear with me. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Have you not got the answer?
No, I've got the answer. I've got to work out how far away you guys are.
Just got to Google it.
My maths isn't that quick, unfortunately, when it's large scale numbers. Okay, right.
Well, that means I'm so far out. He's had to count it on a calculator.
He's run out of fingers.
I can tell you that the year that album was released was 1974.
No.
Which means after round one,
His
Martin,
11th album
No
was
way.
then.
you are 20 out, Martin, and Matt, you're 28 out. Martin
What a
is
start.
taking an early
There we
8
go.
lead. Okay, we move on to the next question.
Wow.
Triple G said 79. Well done, Triple G. You've only been 5 out there. Right. See, quick maths. Next up, Matt. It's a movie. Starring Eminem. 8 Mile. What year was 8 Mile out?
And that
Don't
was-
rush, because your first answer will be the answer that gets written down.
Yeah, 2002.
Okay. Just get my calculator out.
Oh,
Got a few options in here. 2005, 2003. There is a few 2002s there. There's a 98 in there from
that's a definite no.
Triple G.
You think his first album came out late 90s, wasn't it?
Mm,
A couple of albums in.
99 was his Slim Shady LP.
What a film, by the way. Just to reference the film.
Amazing film. Yeah. And I think quite underrated now. Like,
Yeah.
Probably a lot of people have forgot about it, but it's a serious film. Yeah.
And the main guy that was the head of the rappers was Falcon from Marvel.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've seen it.
Anthony Mackie was Papa Doc.
Wow.
Amazing. Wow.
I'm going to go 2003, just to be a little bit different from Matt.
The reason I said 2002 is the soundtrack album was released on Spotify as the 20th anniversary edition this week, or the end of last week, maybe.
Good
So I'm
knowledge.
quietly confident.
Okay. I can tell you that the answer is indeed, and a direct hit for Matt, 2002. Well done. So Matt, that still leaves you 28 out. Martin, you go up to 21. Still leading. 7 in it.
God.
Okay, we move over to you, Martin. Next one's a movie starring Mel Gibson. Ransom. What a film.
I've
You
never
must-
seen it. No idea.
Amazing.
No idea.
Martin,
92.
the look of your face, you haven't seen it either.
I know it, but I don't know the year. I'm going to say 92.
Quizler has just said he's on 31 out at the moment. I mean, I feel like that helps us, Matt, because, you know, after all the quizzes that we've been on Dawn of Comics where we've struggled at the back.
We won the team version, though. That's I'm clinging on to that forever. That glory.
A few 90s coming in there, 91, 98, 95. I mean, yeah, few 90s guesses.
I have no idea.
It's Martin's go first.
Oh, 92.
Oh, sorry, I thought you'd said.
Yeah,
sorry.
92. I'm going 92.
Sorry. You're going 92, okay.
I'm going to say 96. I think it's probably a 90s one because I don't think Mel Gibson did a lot after that, did he? He did the odd thing, but he got drunk and embarrassed himself quite a lot, didn't he? After that,
Turn to Christ.
no, he
Turned away.
started spouting racist abuse and stuff.
No,
like
that's
that.
the one.
Yeah.
I can tell you, the film Ransom came out in, and unbelievably, with a second direct hit, 1996.
That was
Matt.
such a guess.
It's on
Such a
fire.
Matt, you're redeeming yourself now because Martin is now up to 25 after being 4 out on that one. So Martin's up to 25. Matt, you're on 28. So only 3 in it with 2 rounds to go. Ooh. We
It's
move.
intense.
So
It is.
tense.
It's good,
So
isn't
tense.
it?
The viewers are saying, oh my God, I can't believe this. The viewers are going crazy. Next up, we're going back to music. The song, Matt, you're going first on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin was released on this day. What was the year?
71. I think.
God, that was very,
was so-
very dark. I mean,
That's confident, that is.
they're confident, yeah.
It's on Led Zeppelin 4. What's that? Ooh. No, I'm going to stick with that.
I'm going to just go a little bit out because he seems so confident.
Mm.
You know, I'm going to say 72.
That's clever play, Martin. It's clever play.
Yeah.
I can tell you. The answer is. God, the music just dropped as well then. It was like it was waiting for me. 1971. You were right again, Matt. 3 direct hits in a row. I mean, this is impressive. This is very impressive. But clever play from you, Martin.
That was.
I think Matt's confidence probably helped you a little bit. I would have done exactly
Yeah.
the same. So, with 1 round to go, Martin is leading by 2. You're on 26. Matt's on 28. All to play for in the final one, and I can't wait for this because this. If either of you, Matt, you're definitely not getting the direct on it. If you do, the game's rigged and I'm out. Now, because Martin's winning, he goes first. Because then, Matt, you know what you have to play with, okay?
Right.
The game, because we're going on to games to end this one. Sorry, I've just seen a comment. Matt can see James's screen.
We're about 20 miles away
Go on
from
my
it.
pad.
I can guarantee
Go on
we
my pad,
can't.
I'm gonna add. So on the This Week in Metropolis branded pad. Right, to round this off, Martin, the game. I won't tell you what platform it's on because I think that might give it away. Banana Hell.
What?
The game, Banana Hell.
There's no way that's a game.
It's a game. We can confirm it's a game.
What do you do in it? I need context here.
Listen, my research is lengthy, but it's not as lengthy as a banana. Carry on.
I know my games, but damn. What? All right. Okay. It sounds so stupid. It's got to be a old game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
we've got some guesses coming in. Happy for you to look at that.
yeah, this is what the audience is saying.
Got people saying in
Wow.
the 70s
Either the 80s or 2 years ago.
or yesterday. That wouldn't work because it's not an anniversary yesterday. It's an anniversary of today because it's the anniversary spread, guys. Come on, get your spread heads in. Come on.
Right. I'm sticking with it. It's going to be an old game that barely anybody's heard of.
Yep.
I'm going to say 79. I'm going back old school Atari era. Commodore.
I'm going to take a big risk. And I'm going to go completely in the opposite direction. And think, was it, weirdly, what Shane's just said, was it a mobile game? Or was it some weird Steam sort of game that came out? I'm going to guess 2015. So this is all to play for now. I could completely screw myself on that answer.
That just made things even more intense. You know?
James is doing a lot of maths. So one of us is really wrong. Or both of us are really wrong with this, probably.
I can tell you that the game was released on Steam.
That's me gone.
And was released in 2020. Which means, Matt, you were 5 out, which bumps you up to 33. Sadly, Martin, you were 41 out, which bumps you up to 67. Which means for the second game in a row, Matt is victorious. What a game, guys. What a game.
No, it was a good game.
That was good. I enjoyed that.
I mean, from the start you made, Matt, I thought Martin's onto one here. He's just got to play it safe. I knew that last game, when I picked it out, was going to be a real mind.
Where did you find Banana Hill? Like, what was the path that took you to that?
I thought I could have picked one there was a couple of other games that I thought might have been more obvious, and I think the key with this game is to kind of don't be obvious. I mean, although 3 of your ones, Matt, were bang on, which never should happen. So I must get more difficult.
Let's try harder.
Yes. More banana holes. But that was the end of this week's anniversary spread. That's going to be a screenshot. I've just got it in my head just there. Love it. Well, there we go. I mean, that rounds up. Martin, thank you again so much. I mean, we've gone a little bit later this evening, but thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm sure Matt will agree.
Can I just say on record?
Yes.
Good luck for the weekend, because I don't know if you want to share it with the world. What's happening at the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going away this weekend. Me and my wife to be is going to Florida, and we're getting married this time next week. So
amazing, absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
And we and all, I'm sure all of the viewers and listeners all wish you the very best for your wedding day and have an amazing time in Florida. I think.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm sure the weather will be a bit warmer than it is here. I don't know. What's the weather like out there at the moment?
It's nice. Late 20s.
Nice. It's nice. Love
Late
it.
20s, yeah, you can manage with that, can't you?
Yeah.
That's all
I
Yeah.
don't mind that.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Martin. Where can all our viewers and listeners find your Instagram page, your channels, and so forth?
And as Pete said, where can we watch the wedding is the other key thing.
If you want to watch the wedding, message me on Instagram. I'll show you the recording we get when we finally get back. But otherwise, you can catch me on Instagram under Sonikz Comics. I'm on Twitter as well, and I'm also on YouTube. You can find me any of those.
That's it. Well, we'll put the links and everything, and it's been an absolute pleasure. I feel like we could have spoke for a hell of a lot longer. It's been an extended show, let's say. But Matt, have you got anything else to say before we sign off today?
No, just to to remember, only 2 episodes until our 100th, which is getting quite exciting now. It's something that we've been planning for probably about 20 episodes. It feels like our 100th. But we got next week. Who have we got on next week?
Next week. Just us next week,
and then our 100th episode. So
yeah. So we look forward, and we'll explain more about the plans for that next week. With hopefully getting lots of people joining us live on the show. But until then, Martin, we'll speak to you in a minute once we've gone off air. But for everyone who's joined us, thank you. It's been a great show, and really appreciate you all joining us this evening. So see you again next week.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as we did. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our future episodes.
Yeah, and you can also follow us on all social media. So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok.